This video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Hi guys, I'm here with a video showing you guys how I made the headpiece for my Ziggs cosplay. So I've already went ahead and cut out all of the pieces that I needed for this piece in EVA foam, and the EVA foam is about 6 millimeters thick. I do have patterns up for this on my store Envy. And in this clip, I'm just taking a Dremel and smoothing out all of the edges before I glue the pieces together. So once I've hit everything with a Dremel, I'm starting to glue pieces together, and I used hot glue for this project, although now I'd recommend contact cement. In order to help the hot glue stick better, I created this crosshatch pattern that you can kind of see here on the pieces in the areas where they were going to connect using a box cutter. Once the two layers were glued together, I went ahead and cut off some of the excess that's at the back and then dremeled down any areas where the pieces connected and the seam needed to be smoothed out. Then I glued on the goggle pieces and other small details. To create the edging for the top layer, I took 2mm EVA foam and winged it when it came to the sizing of the strip that I needed, like the width, but it was about 1/2 inch wide. And I glued that down with hot glue. To create the edging that goes around the curved piece here, the bolt piece, I took some extra foam and just kind of drew out the shape that I thought I would need by feeling around on the foam to see where it would dip so that I knew that that was where my edge was, and then making it about the width that I wanted. I patterned the nose piece in a similar way by holding up a piece of paper to the foam and feeling around to get the shape that I needed, and then cleaning up that later before transferring it to 2mm EVA foam and gluing that on with hot glue. Next, I took a marker and kind of mapped out where I wanted to make some battle damage markings. To create the battle damage, I took my Dremel and used that to carve out cut marks or divots in the foam. I should also note at this point I've hit everything with a heat gun in order to better shape it to my head, and that's why it has this curve that it does to it, although I didn't get footage of it, so I didn't have that to share or show with you guys. But just do that whenever it's most convenient for you. Now I was ready to move on to painting and priming. To prime the headpiece, I used wood glue, and I did about a total of 5 layers, but I did 3 layers first before moving on to the next step. After about 3 layers of wood glue, I took some Bondo's spot putty and applied that to any area that had seam lines, and for this specific piece it was just mostly the back that needed this. And once it dried, I sanded it down, applied 1 more layer to make sure everything was fully filled out, let that dry, sanded it down again, and then did another 2 layers of wood glue. To create the correct shade of blue I was looking for, I took a dark navy blue, a light blue, and a light gray, mixed those together until I got the shade I wanted. And I'm using acrylic paint to paint this entire piece. I do about 3 layers of each color in order to get the piece fully covered and opaque. After each time I paint a color, I coat everything with a clear glossy spray paint to seal the paint and make it easier to remove any mistakes that I might make when painting on the next color. And the next color I'm painting on is red. Again, I'm using acrylic paint for this. Again, I do about 2 or 3 layers of paint in order to make sure everything is opaque and fully covered. I top that off with a clear glossy spray paint and then move on to shading. In order to shade this, I took black oil paint and a couple different brushes, including a thin brush and then some fluffier brushes that will help blend out the oil paint, and applied that to any place I thought needed shadow. So I applied that around the edges of any pieces that were raised and in the grooves of the battle damage that we created. I continue layering on the paint until the shadows are about as dark as I wanted them to be. Once I was happy with the shading, I top it off with a clear glossy spray paint. Then I move on to the next step, which is attaching the green part of the goggles, the part that would technically be the glass, but I wasn't going to use real glass. So instead, I took a transparent green tinted clear folder divider and cut those into circles that fit the shape of the goggles. I also created that hatch pattern with a box cutter in order to help the hot glue be more secure and have a better attachment to the foam. Once attached, I also globbed on a bunch of hot glue around the edges on top of the plastic piece as well, just to make sure everything was super secure. I created a crosshatch pattern at the end of each end of this piece and then attached elastic straps that I had sized to fit around my head. I secured those down with some extra globs of hot glue. And that finishes up this piece. Again, I have these templates and many others for many other costumes up for sale on my store Envy. So if you're looking for patterns, check out that shop. I also have an Etsy if you prefer shopping there or need to use PayPal. Buying patterns and prints is a great way of supporting me and helps me continue to make videos like this. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. We'll be able to use this for a future cosplay. Thanks for watching, have a lovely day, and stick around to see future videos or check out some of my old ones. Bye!